before we even get moving, I want you to all stand up. Find a space that I can ideally sort of see you, but don't worry if it doesn't. If I can't, no, if you, yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so today's class is a level 2 math class, and before we start, I just want to establish where exactly your hip joints are, because this class's focus is all about the hip joints. So if you could point to your hip joints for me, where are your hip joints in your body? Where does the movement take place? Point to them. That's non-committal, Elaine, or someone. You're like, round here somewhere. This is true, you're all correct, 100%. Perfect. Do you know what would be the most committed? Yeah. So our hip joints very often, well, I'll tell you where they are. They're here. They're closer to the middle of our body than most of us think. And what I'm referring to here is the actual joint. Where does the movement occur? So when we're going, oh, I've got tight hips and rubbing here, probably more to do with tight muscles, you know, these muscles are tired or tight or get fatigued, but the actual joint, there the movement happens is right in here. And I'm just going to show you on this kind of skeleton to give you kind of like an idea. So if they're the front of your pelvis, can you see these two bony bits at the front here? These are your PSIS. And you can touch them on yourself quite easily at the front of your pelvis. And then if you come in from those, can you see this bit in the middle here? That's your pubic bone. Again, a really easy landmark to find at the front of your pelvis. But can you see from the pubic bone, can you see if you come across how close your hip joint is to the front of the pelvis? Yeah, it's just a small distance away. So some way that you can find it, if you put your thumb on this bone, which is your greater trochanter, that bone at the outside, and then bring your hand across, you'll be somewhere close to the hip joint. Okay, so that's where the actual movement is happening. So when we lift our leg up, yeah, the movement is happening in this joint here. All the muscles that are around this area are responsible for pulling that leg up, sending the leg back, circling the leg. So, but this is where the joint is, that's where the movement is actually happening. So, if you consider that, okay, that's where my hip joints are. So now I want you to think, okay, my hip joints are here. When I move my leg, the ball joint, so this is my, there's different ways you can move the hip. When we're standing, I move my leg in the hip socket. So there's my socket, there's my ball joint, and I move my leg and the ball joint, yeah, rolls in the socket. So we've got that action happening. Yeah, when I lift my leg up, my leg comes up, my ball joint rolls back. Yeah, and it's happening in here. And try the other side. Think about that ball joint rolling back in here. Probably easier if I showed you on this. So yeah, there's the ball joint as the leg comes up. Can you see the actual ball and socket joint? The ball joint rolls back and then rolls forward. The ball joint rolls back and rolls forward. So when my knee comes up, it rolls back in the socket and forward. So that's one way that we move the hip joint. Yeah, so we move the leg in the ball in the socket, but we can also move the pelvis over the ball joint. So the socket moves over the ball joint. Yeah, over the ball joint. So the ball joint stays still, the leg stays still. So if this is my pelvis, yeah, I move my pelvis over the ball joint. And that's when we're doing our things like our hip hinging. We're going to do lots of that today. So my ball joint stays still and the pelvis moves over the top. So this is where all the movement is happening between the ball and the socket. And how we achieve that movement is different. So we're going to look at some pelvic stability work as well, maybe not so much in today's session, more about mobility, but we will look at the stability of the pelvis to hold the pelvis still so we can really move in that socket. Why do we have to have, why is it important for good hip mobility? Well, if we get good hip mobility, we can get our pelvis in a better place. If our pelvis is in a better place, everything above it can be more easily aligned. And when our pelvis is in a better place, our legs can sit more comfortably in position underneath us without being sort of turned in or out, which can affect knees and ankles and feet. So hip joints, really crucial for good alignment through the whole body. So let's begin the session, our movement methodology in standing. And some of this stuff is going to be very familiar to you guys that have been working with the Gurita method. There's some amazing work that we can do with those lovely flows. So we're going to take it from there now. So we're standing in parallel. So now we kind of know where those hip joints are. Let's bring our attention to the feet. And can you feel the ground under your feet? Feel the bones in your lower leg supported by your feet. Feel the thighs supported by your bones in your lower leg. As you come up your thigh, even bring your hands to just touch where the hip joints are. And I want you to just imagine the pelvis now, the two sockets, sitting on top of the ball joint. The pelvis sitting on top of the ball joint. And you can imagine that those balls are like marker buoys on the water. Yeah, so they're kind of sitting level, but they're floating. So just imagine where your hip joints are. Bend your knees, let them float down. So you're lowering the hip joints. And then as you stand, the hip joints lift. The hip joints lower. The hip joints lift. So imagine them as the marker buoys. They go down and they come up. They go down and they come up. So as they go down and up, can you keep them level? Or do you feel like one stays up higher? So when you bend your knees, do the ball joints lower on that water surface of the water together? Can you make it more even? Lowering them down, lifting them up. Lowering them down, lifting them up. And lifting them up. Good. As you go down, can you notice how the gap between these 2 points here gets smaller? This is called the flexion of the hips. So our pelvis is moving over the top of the ball joint and back. So just imagine that movement. As the marker buoys go down, the pelvis rolls over the top. You can almost imagine that the ball joint is an eyeball, and as we come forward, the pelvis comes over the top of it, and it's like an eye blinking. And then as you stand, it opens it up again. Going down, the marker buoys move down, and the pelvis moves over the top. And then up. Good. So that's just embodying some of the movement and that bringing our attention to those hip joints. Good. One more time. And up. Good. Take a breath in, reach your arms up, look at your palms and then come together. Bring the arms down through the center, let the arms rest by your side. Bring your chin to your chest, roll your spine forward. And notice how when you get down to the spine, how the pelvis, just let it roll over the top of the ball joints. Let it roll over, coming down. And so here, as you come up, Let the pelvis roll backwards over the top of those ball joints. And then find your spine, find your ribs, find your head above the wall. Beautifully stacked. Again, chin comes down, roll your spine forward. As you start to come down to the pelvis, allow the pelvis to roll over the top of those ball joints. And then as you stand, feel how it rolls backwards. You can almost imagine it's like the ball joint is the sun and your socket is a cloud. And as you come down, do it again, as you come down, the cloud is just hovering over the front of the ball and the sun. As you roll forward, let the socket roll over the top of your hip, of your ball joint. And then roll it back. So the pelvis, the socket, moving over the ball. We'll do that one more time. Chin down. So we're doing this in a flexion of the spine. Nice movement through the spine. Allow the pelvis to roll forwards over the ball joints. Breathing as you go. And then coming up. Drawing the pelvis back over the top of the hip joint, that ball joint, nicely balanced, those marker buoys on the water. Lift the arms, take them up, in. This time I'm not going to move my spine, I'm just going to flex. So I come over my hip joints, but I stay back and my sit bones widen. We've done that before, sit back. So now I'm coming over those hip joints, and when I'm down there, I just want to fold. And then I'm going to push the ground away and roll up. Find the ball joint. Good. Coming up and open. Straight spine, hinge at the hips. So I'm moving my pelvis over the hip joints. Good. Down. And coming up and stand. Breathing in. And breathing out, moving the pelvis over the hip joint, the ball joint. One more time. Up we go. Lifting, reaching, and softening over the marker buoys. Down, push the ground away, and come up. We're going to do the same with the turn. So we're going to take legs wider, so we change the position of the hip, and I'm going to turn my toes out. So I've got a little bit of different position of my hip joints now. And I'm going to bring the back of the hands together, lift up, floating breath. And as I come down, I bend the knees, and I'm going to put them to the side. I'm going to let my hips go back again. My pelvis move over the top of the ball joint, head down, and push to come up, breathing in, reaching up, coming down, think of those where the hips are, we can move the pelvis over the top of them. So my bottom goes back, and I fold between the legs. Push the ground away, and roll up, back of the hands together, inhale. Coming down and fold over the hips. And push and come up. We're going to do that one more time, breathing in. Coming down and hinges, folding. And pushing up and reaching up high. At the top, separate your hands, have your feet wide. And we're going to bring the hands down onto the thighs. So from here, for this one, I want your sit bones to be back a little bit. And we're just going to shift the weight towards one heel. And then come back center. I'm going to shift across to the other side. I want this sit bone to come down. So I'm really coming into this hip and stretching through the inner thigh here. Shift across to the other side and lengthen. Good. Shift across and lengthen. Good. Down and across, moving over those ball joints. Yeah, in here. That's where the movement's happening. Good. 2 more. Down and away. And down and away. Good. Now, as I go across, I'm going to reach the arm up. I'm going to turn my ribs and bring myself up to standing. Then I go across and bend the right knee again, sitting in deep into that hip, opening up the other side. Turn and pull back. Go that way again. Push and turn, lift. Arm across. Sit into that hip deep. And then turn and pull back. Again, across. Turn, lift. And across. Down and pull center. Reach across and lift. And across, pull center. And across and lift. And across, last time. And across, pull up. And across and center. Hold on to your ankles. And pull, straighten your legs. Yep, so now I'm really folding over the hips, pulling myself between my thighs. I'm then going to send my hips back and sit down to get my chest to come forwards, opening up those hips. And again, pull into the back of the world. Bend, sit, and into the front of the body. And pull round into the back. Bend and sit, opening up those hips. Good. Straightening up the legs. And then roll yourself up. We're just going to do a little bit more movement with the pelvis moving over the hip joints. So this is our triangle position. The legs and the arms are out. First thing I want to do is just move my ribs to the side. Yeah, and reach. I'm then going to send my arm down and the other arm overhead. Just staying over my hips, my ribs are lifting, there. Then I come up and back to center. Reach across, then the arm down and over. Nice. And then come back up and center. Reach across, then down and over. This time, I'm going to send, this is the hip I want to move over. Moves back, and I come forwards over that hip joint. Sending my sit bones back. Good. Then I come back, moving my pelvis over that ball joint. Bring it back and up, center. Reach across, come down, side, rotate forward. So this hip now, the pelvis is going to roll over the top of that ball joint. Good. Then I come back, moving the hip. Lovely. And then up and center. Moving across, take it side, hip over pelvis, moving over the ball joint. Guys, fold down here now. Go as close to that leg as you can. And I feel this in all the muscles around the pelvis that help to move and stabilize the hip. Guys, come back up again, but I want you to lift and lift the heart. Then move over that hip joint, bring yourself back to the center, coming up. Good, make sure you're breathing. Let's do that again. Side, down and over. Hip joint, pelvis, rolls over the top. Sit bone moves back. You're going to feel lots of stretching of muscles around that pelvic area. Can you fold and go a little bit deeper? Yes, use your leg to gently pull to bring you closer if you can. Then you're going to lift your head, lift your heart, and come up. Remember, at the hip, we're going to move through into the side. Then come up and center. Guys, I hope you're getting this now. It takes a lot of focus to really get those hip joints moving. Coming into the side. Pelvis over the top of that ball joint. And the more you move over it, you'll feel it gets shinier, it gets more mobile. Fold down to that foot. Then walk your hands to the other side. And then lift the left arm, lift the chest. And then your right pelvic half comes forward, side, and come up. We're going to go across and down, full circle this way, move over that hip. And you might think, oh, this one just doesn't give so much, or it might give more. Notice how the movement feels different. Go across to the other side and lift your heart, lift your gaze. Then come back to the front and come up to center. We're going to go through that one more each side and across, down and over. Rotate here and fold down. And then wander across and then lift to come up into the side and up and center. Move across and side. Rotate here and fold down. Move across and lift and roll. Back to the side, coming up and center. Brilliant. So hopefully you're starting to connect with those hips. Let's take it down onto the floor. So there's lots of muscles that move the pelvis, move the hips, and they're all the muscles that connect from our lower leg to the pelvis, from our upper body to the pelvis as well. So the next stuff we're going to focus on is the muscles at the back of the pelvis, hands and knees. We're going to push down over the lower legs, control the spine. So nothing different here, just find that space above you. And then soften. Let your pelvis move forwards over the ball joints. And the heart comes up. Let the pelvis roll back, and the spine, and the ribs. Let the pelvis move forwards and over the ball joint. Let the pelvis roll back. And then from here, we're going to shift our weight back. And we're going to do a little wave. We're going to come forwards and into the front of the body. And then we look back, we lean our body back and come forwards into the front of the body. Do that again. Nicholas is really annoying. He keeps going with my chin. Lean back and into the front. So this time we're going to lean back. And as I come forward, I'm going to bring my left leg out to the side and just lift it. Yeah, like a dog cocking its leg. Then I bring it down and then I'm going to curl and lean back. As I come forward, my right leg, same thing, lifts out to the side. I bring the knee back and then lean back over the hips. Come forwards, head and chest forward, leg goes out to the side. From this point, I'm going to bring my left knee between my hands And then curl, bring my knee to my nose. Then sit back and lean back. We do the same on the right. So the leg comes out as the chest comes forward. I then bring my knees through and curl. Knee goes down, curl into the space behind me. And again, lift the left leg out to the side. Bring the knee forwards and curl. Place the knee back, rounding into the space behind you. One more time. In and up, leg comes out. Bring the knee forward, round, knee to nose. Send the knee back, curl, and lean back. We're going to add some pulses. So as I pull forwards, I'm going to lift the leg and then pulse it out here. Pulse for 5, for 4, for 3, and 2, and 1. Then the knee comes in, I round, pull, place the knee down, lean back. And again, the right side, head and chest forward, right knee out. And pulse, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring the knee under, round as you lean. Place the knee under the hip, lean into the space behind you. Okay, this time come forward. Let the knee come out. Then straighten the leg out. Take it back behind you. Bring your pelvis parallel. Then open. Take it back out to the side. Bend the knee. Bring the knee under. Push. Send the knee under the hip. Round your body back. And again, right side forwards. Lift the right knee. Straighten the leg out to the side. Then circle the leg back behind you. Take the leg back out to the side. You can look at the leg. Then the knee comes under. Push round. Pull. Knee goes back. Body goes back. And we go to the left again. Forward, and that left knee comes out. Straighten it. Then send it back behind you. Then send it back to the side. Let's pulse it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Knee comes in and curl. Place the knee under, rounding back. And again, coming forward, right leg. The hip is opening. Send it away. Circle the leg back, parallel the pelvis. Then take it out, opening. When you're there, pulse. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The knee comes in and curl. Knee under, sit back on your heels. This time as you come forward, send your left leg across the ground behind you. Chest up. Dip down and push up. Leg out to the side. And we're going to turn. And we're going to let this right pelvic half roll over the top of that water. Then bring the hand back. The left leg goes round all the way. And I pick up my right arm. And open. Then I place my right hand down, turn and open. Again here, lots of lovely movement over that ball joint. Then the arm comes back, shoulder width hip to center. Curl and lean back. This time your right leg is going to straighten, toe down, chest up. And then dip down. As you come up, push your right heel away and just feel a lovely calf stretch. Send that right leg out and then lift the arm, turn your rib cage, and then come back. Send the right leg across to the left side. and open up that left side. Then place that left arm down, turn, open the front of the one, the front of the hip, find the space. Then bring it round and back onto the ground. Good. So we're going to now take a curl and come forwards. As I come forwards, I'm going to send my left leg away, my right leg away, and lift. Sorry, I'm getting my back. Lift and come into my downward facing dog. Just going to breathe a little here. And then bend the knees, bring my head and chest forward, open, and then push back and lengthen. Bending the knees and sitting back on my heels, taking a breath there. Good, back onto your hands and knees, tucking the toes under, and roll through the feet into your downward facing dog. From here, I'd like your left knee to come in, and you're going to do very similar to what we did on our hands and knees. I'm going to round into my back as the knee comes into my forehead. Then the leg is going to stretch out and reach up to the ceiling as I lengthen the leg. I'm going to bring it down and heel to the floor. Then my right knee comes in, round, lifting, curling, sending the right leg up and extending. Bringing that right leg back and heels towards the ground. Bend the knees and sit back onto your heels. Just having a little bit of a rest off the wrists. Breathe. Okay, we're going to add into that. So I'm just going to get that a little more. So from here, we're going to come back onto all fours. Send one leg out and the other leg out. Very good. Then lift your hips, lower your ribs. And we're going to start with that left foot coming in. I'm going to try and round into my little back, pull my nose to my knee. Then send the leg out, lengthening as the heel moves down. Then I'm going to bring that leg forwards and try and reach towards my hand, place the back knee down. Untuck the back toes, so we're in this lovely lunge. And then I'm just going to turn my body, I'm holding onto this knee. I'm just going to turn my body to look down my left thigh. Then I come back, and then the right hand just near the left foot, inside of that left foot. I'm then going to rotate. Try not to let this knee drop out too much. And then we're going to rotate the spine that way. Good. Very good. Bring the hand down inside the left leg. Come up and step back into your downward dog. The right knee comes forwards, knee to nose rounding. Send the leg up. Extend. Bring the knee forwards to the hand. Place the knee down. Hold the outside of your right knee with your right hand. And then just turn your body to look around. Then reach the arm up, rotating. Bring the hand down and step back, downward facing dog. This time we're going to do our pigeon pose. So I'm going to bring my right knee up, my foot's going to come across. Actually, I might get you into this a different way, so you haven't done that before. So back onto your hands and knees. And so if I go from this angle, it might be easier for you to see. I'm going to straighten my right leg out and then just take my left foot across. Then I'm going to sit away and down into my pigeon pose. Yeah, so I'm on the four-point kneeling, my right leg has gone back, or the bottom half of my leg across, and then sitting down into that hip stretch. And then you can just breathe for a moment. You can rock side to side if it helps you to ease more into the stretch without feeling tension. Obviously, if the knee is causing a problem, just change the angle of the foot so it comes closer to you. And if you want more stretch, that foot needs to come up higher. Find what works for you. And it might be very different on one side to the other. Just breathe. Then sitting onto that left side of the pelvis with your, I'm going to face the front, so you sit down. That right leg is going to come all the way round to the out, the right, the foot goes all the way to the other side of the knee. Now, if your knees don't like it, just do this with the crossed legs, yeah? You don't have to have all your sort of legs in a knot just yet if you're not happy and the hips feel a little bit tight. Okay, so once you're in your position, either cross leg and here, just fold your body forwards over your legs, relax your shoulders, and just taking a few breaths. Sit. Good. Then just rotate towards the right knee. So I'm just going to come up, move my body around to the right. And then come back to center. Now, the leg that's on the top is going to swing all the way around, back behind you, come up into pigeon pose, and then lift back into downward facing dog. We're then going to bring the right foot forwards. So you've got a choice. So from down dog, you can bring the right foot forwards in one movement, which takes us into pigeon. Or from our kneeling position, send the left leg away and the right foot comes across. Then you lay back down into it. So whatever really works for you. And we're just trying to stretch across the back of the right hip joint. So right into buttocks as deep hip rotators, external rotators. Opening up, breathe. We're going to sit onto the right hip, bring the left foot all the way round in front so the foot goes the other side of the left knee, and we sit up nice and tall. Don't worry if you're not quite getting that sit bone down. That's our intention, to try and get the pelvis down so that obviously the muscles and the soft tissues are on a stretch, and then we're going to come forwards. But I need you to be breathing, yeah? We don't want to be fixing, we want to be breathing, softening, releasing. And slowly coming up, you can then rotate your rib cage towards that thigh. And then come back to the center, and you can lay on your backs. Well done. If you can move your legs. So laying down with your feet on the floor. I'd like you to take your feet as wide as your shoulders, at least. Then you're going to bring both knees down to one side. So we're getting some internal rotation of the hip. And then back to the center. And across to the other side. And back center. and cross, and center, and cross, and center, and cross. Come back to the center, and I don't have anything available here, and it doesn't matter if you don't have it at home either. But quite nice for this next exercise is just to have maybe a cushion or a folded towel, just lifting your pelvis up slightly. Okay, so place it across the back of the pelvis. Or if you've got a roller, you can place yourself up on the roller. It just allows us to access a little bit more space at the front of the hips. Okay, so that would be my aim. But if you don't have a towel, or you don't have some balls, or you don't have anything there, I'm going to do it without today, but it is an option for you if you have that available. So we're going to have both legs out straight. Hands can come by the side. I'm going to bring my right foot in across the floor. I'm going to bring the knee towards me, stretch the leg up, and then lower the leg down. Bring the leg in, then stretch the leg up, and slowly lower the leg down. And again, the foot comes in, the leg stretches up, then slowly lower the leg down. Two more, leg comes in across the floor, foot off, knee closer, or thigh comes closer, so that's that hip flexion. Then straighten the leg up and lower it down. I don't want you to use your hands. Yeah, see what movement you can achieve without the assistance of your hands. Just bring the leg in, send the leg up, and then lower the leg down. One more time. Bring the leg in, the foot comes up, the leg extends, and you lower it down. Do the other side, about 6 or 8 each side, bring the foot in, knee comes in, leg goes up, and then slowly lower the leg down. Bring it in, up, and slowly lower it down. Bring it in, stretch it up, and slowly lower it down. Make sure you're breathing. And what do you want? Perfect. So now, what I'd like you to do is bring your right knee in. So first of all, just see how you're feeling as you lay there. How do your hips feel? Bring your right thigh up. Push knee and hand against each other, so we're pressing, we're still breathing. For about the count of 10, pushing thigh and hands against each other. Then we release and we shake the leg out. And then you can pull that knee in nice and close towards your body. As if really assisting that movement now. See how much you can fold your hip joint in towards the chest. How much movement you have there. Then send that leg back out away from you. And just notice if that hip feels different. We do one more on the side, same side. The foot comes in, we push, breathe. Release it and shake the leg. And then bring the knee in as close as you're comfortable. So that whole pelvic part, so yes, we're moving in the hip, but we're also asking that whole pelvic half to roll backwards on that right side. And then stretch the leg away. Ah. Breathe into the belly. And then the other leg. Left knee in, push for 10. Still breathe into your belly. Then shake the leg. And then draw the knee in. And then release that leg away. We're doing one more on that side and then we're done. So bring that leg up, push knee and hand against each other, breathe. Shake the legs. Bring in close towards the body. And stretch. And then we're just done with the hips today. You can just breathe and allow them to soften. So we're not holding, we're not gripping. If you've got the balls underneath your back or a roller already prop underneath the pelvis at this stage, you can take it away, obviously, that's fine. And just notice how your body's feeling. Well done. So we're challenging the hips. There are lots of different ways to challenge the hips. They've got a lot of movement, but they also require, they have to be stable because they're supporting the upper body. Okay, they've got a really nice deep joint. So we really need to nourish and move that joint, but also keep those muscles that move it strong so they can stabilize the hip joint. And in the next minute that they can move us in all the many ways that we need the hips to move for us to carry out not just daily activities, but any of the sports or, you know, pastimes you like to get involved in. So the hips, we're going to carry on down this pathway. So now, today we know where they are. There's a win. We know where the movement is happening. We know that it's a ball and socket joint. We know that we can move the ball joint in the socket, or we can move the socket over the ball joint. You can move them both, obviously. Yeah, and they move in all different ways. So here is your pelvis and your ball joint. We move the ball joint forwards and back. It can go out to the side, it can come across, and it can circle. The pelvis can move. This is what we've done a lot more of today. Move, because this is what I think helps us to get a better posture. Postural alignment is where our pelvis is on our hip. So when I hinge forwards, my pelvis, this is where I was saying, imagine this was an eyeball. And as I bring my pelvis forward, yeah, I'm blinking the eye because it covers the ball joint and then it covers it and uncovers. So from the side view, if you're standing, oops, sorry, I'm trying to get the camera there. You go forwards and back. And as you go forward, your tailbone and your sit bones, they go back behind you and forward. So that's the movement that we're doing when we're doing this movement. Yeah, my pelvis is moving over the hip joints. And this